Welcome back to Space Engineers. Today I will be taking you on a tour of two of the rooms that I've created for my station. The small ship's dry dock, where I will be designing and building all the ships that I will be making for the rest of these videos, and the hangar in which I will be storing those ships. And then later on we will be going outside to see what extra armor I've put up, and also the turrets that I will be using to defend the station. So we will begin with the small ship's dry dock, where I will be building by hand prototypes of those ships, then making them into blueprints, and then copying those blueprints over and creating them automatically is the goal. So first, this room has two sliding doors, which makes an excellent little airlock because I can depressurize this room. If we go down the stairs, these two air vents have green lights, and full green lights mean that this place is fully pressurized, which is what I want when I am spending all my time in here designing the ship. Now we have an advanced rotor with a small rotor head on it and a small junction. Now this can be completed because the body of the rotor is a large grid hooked up to a conveyor junction in the floor. And this you can attach small heads or large heads to it. When you put a small head on here, it means you can build small blocks and have them connected to the same large grid through a different subgrid. So this is a different grid, but it gets all of its power, and you can refill tanks and bring stuff from your station's inventory into the ships that you're building. And I've put some small conveyor tubes down to where I'm going to be starting my first ship once we get into building the ships. I've also placed a connector at the bottom where I can attach ships I make to the station this way. And I have painted the floor in this area yellow because this is roughly the size of the place where I can dock my ships in the hangar. And if I get too far out of here, I can bang into the walls and into other ships. So I want to constrain my designs to something like this, or at least know I need to modify a berth in my hangar in order to dock the ship in safety. I also have an assembler over here with 3 speed mods where I will be assembling all the components and everything that I need for my ship if I don't already have them in the station's inventory. Once I have built the prototype of the ship, I can create a blueprint of it and move it over here to more of the automated manufacturing side of this dry dock. I have an advanced rotor over here, also with a small rotor head and a cargo and a conveyor junction on it. I also have this little thing, which is a projector. This takes your blueprints, creates a hologram, which I would be placing over these yellow squares. Again, the size of my hangar. And then I will be using these welders that are attached to the station through pistons and conveyors. And the welders will move over and start slowly welding the hologram into existence, allowing me to copy a lot of ships quickly. And when we get into combat, where I will probably be losing a bunch of ships, we will be able to quickly replace those. The floor here is actually blast doors blocks. A blast door block is a little bit off a regular armor block, and so you will be able to slide these welders, which are the size of a light armor block, over them without getting caught up and stuff like that. And I will be controlling this whole thing from this room. So when I press 1, that moves the welders by way of the pistons over to basically the start position. I can then turn the welders on, which when it's red, it's live. And then I can slowly reverse and stop the welders whenever I need to stop them to start welding a particular area. Now, if you don't have the components, they stop welding those areas. So make sure you've created your components, or you can go right into your production here and create the components that you need. So, with everything off, we're done. The difficulty is, since this is a single player game, I am allowed to do this. In a multiplayer game, this takes so many resources that it makes your game very, very laggy and pretty much impossible. Pistons, rotors, and projectors are the top things that keep multiplayer games from running very, very smoothly. So we are going to go through these doors into the hangar next. However, the hangar is not pressurized. So I have to depressurize this room first. And to do that, we will be using those air vents and that tank up there. And I will show you how we do it. So first, come over to this button panel and I'm going to press 1. And that is going to start venting the oxygen out of the room. The blue lights on the air vents indicate how much oxygen is still in the room. One blue light means there is no more oxygen. And this is put into this oxygen tank right here. You need an empty oxygen tank for these vents to depressurize the room. And you have to put this on a separate conveyor system than one with your hydrogen generator on it, or the oxygen generator will just fill up your oxygen tank here and you will not be able to depressurize this room. So now that everything is fully depressurized, you can press this button and open these doors. If you open these doors without depressurizing, all the oxygen will be rushed into this area. And while this area is airtight, once that door at the back opens, all the oxygen will rush out and you will have wasted all of the oxygen. So now that we're in the hangar, we're going to do everything in reverse. So first, we're going to close the doors. And when the doors are closed, we are going to press that, and that is going to repressurize the room using the oxygen tank. Now, we don't know what levels and stuff are later on. If I do a timer block tutorial, I will show you probably how to make a little nifty indicator light to show you if this room is pressurized or depressurized. But that's a later time. And here is the hangar. I have put spotlights in the ceiling here to give a kind of interesting lighting style to the main pathway. Over here is the button that allows me to open the door to the outside. Up here is the airlock that will allow me back into the main hallway of my station. And then these are the different berths. I have painted a yellow stripe along the top and the bottom, right through the connector. This will help me guide my ships in and make sure I know where the center is. And as you can see, generally the standard room for this berth is what I have painted on the floor in my dry dock. I have separated each of these berths so that in case of an accident or somebody shoots into my station when the doors are open, I will not have all my ships risking being damaged and minimize the damage as much as possible. This also allows me some leeway to allow me to kind of reconfigure something if I need a little bigger space for one or more of my ships. And so this is pretty much the hangar, where you will see 7 of my designs or copies of my designs. So let us go outside. Press this button. That will turn that. Again, with some timer blocks, I might be able to add a little more ambience, some lighting and sounds to go with this door opening. And I will set up my jetpack so I can fly out here. I do have artificial gravity on in my station. And that means that unlike planetary, means that stuff will fall onto the station in the direction my artificial gravity says it should fall. However, instead of it being planetary gravity, ion thrusters and other thrusters don't have to work against the gravity. It's only selective to objects and people that don't have thrusters attached to them. And so outside my station, let me zoom out some to kind of show you the whole thing. I have taken time to break up a lot of the right angles, make it a little more appealing. This also adds more armor to areas so that people will have to shoot through or grind through multiple layers of armor to get into my station. I've also added solar panels to the top so that when the sun, wherever the sun is right now, sun seems to be hiding right now. It's probably behind that asteroid. When the sun is up here and shining down, these solar panels will pretty much take over powering most, if not all, of the station. And I do have batteries to store excess power and allow me to not tax my reactor all that much. Now, I have also put on these turrets. They're all Gatling turrets. You can go in here to the control panel and see the Gatling turret. Now, with each of these Gatling turrets, you can add custom data that allows you to add scripts and mods to create, to modify these Gatling guns more and give them a little more artificial intelligence in how they play. I haven't done much scripting yet, so I haven't done anything like that. You can also tell it to shoot once, sort of a salute. You can tell it to shoot continuously from there, and you can take control of it. Now, I can't take control of it right here, but if I'm in a chair, I just press that and control it, and it acts like a camera, allowing me to aim the turrets around and zoom my camera in and out of the area. I've set my aiming radius to the maximum, to 800 meters, so a little less than a kilometer away. It will try to lock on to, let's see, it locks on to pretty much your components, not your armor, but also meteors. You could enable idle movement, which allows your guns to kind of twitch around a while. I turn everything off because I'm not really interested in watching all my guns twitch. And then you can state what you want to target. So with a Gatling gun, Gatling turret, you can target the meteors and you can target missiles, which allows you to make this into a point defense system. And I expect there will be some meteor showers in our future. So I'm going to be trying these turrets out to deal with that. And you want to get rid of missiles as soon as you can because they do the most damage to your blocks. I also have it targeting small ships, large ships and characters, and stations. Though I doubt anybody will build a station right next to mine, but that will keep it from building it there. I've turned off targeting neutrals, which means I don't really want to tick off any neutral factions by them coming too close and me firing. But this does open me up to potential pirates that act like neutrals until they're out in my station, and I can no longer fight them. However, I can put turrets inside my station to fend off the invasions there. I also have used conveyor system, which just feeds the ammo into the place. Speaking of feeding the ammo, all of these conveyors are here to feed ammo into all of my turrets. Now, exposing your conveyor system like this is a major liability, because the only thing that a person needs to do to stop your turrets from firing is basically disable the conveyor system. And then when it runs out of ammo, it no longer can do it. Plus, the turrets that are on this particular line, if I were to say take care of the junction that is right there under this turret, then all of these turrets will lose ammo feeds. I have exposed them for a particular reason, and that reason is I am not sure how many turrets I really need to defend myself against meteors. So, after a few meteor showers, I can see kind of what damage the meteor's done, so I can see kind of the holes in my defense system, and be able to get into, access, and modify these conveyor systems to add more turrets, or to move the turrets into more advantageous positions. At the same time, when I decide to build onto my station, I can then access these conveyors and use them in the next rooms that I make. So I understand that this is a liability, but it is by design for the moment. And so this concludes essentially the little tour I have. As you can kind of see, painting is not quite as intuitive as I would like. It affects the entire block instead of just the inner block. However, I didn't want to double up on my armor blocks and essentially make a room that has double blocks on it just to make an interior and an exterior paint job. I may be doing that later, but not right now. So, the next video, I am going to be building a ship that will be taking me to my closest planet and hopefully back to my station again. And the main reason for that, let me get this on the HUD, is right up here at almost 112 kilometers from my current position is a station which I believe is probably on the surface of this Earth. So I will be making a ship that will allow me to perform a planet fall. So, until next time, this is me signing off.